Hello, and welcome to the new video. Shockwave Totem is one of the simplest totem skills in the game. It summons a totem that deals physical spell damage in form of a nova. As it is common for most of the totem builds, the best choice is to pick the Hierophant class with Pursuit of Faith and Ritual Awakening, two immensely beneficial totem ascendancy keystones. Another Hierophant's passives worth picking are Conviction of Power for 4 extra permanent power and endurance charges, and Arcane Blessing to get a 100% uptime on the Arcane Surge buff which boosts your spell damage. Thanks to the Heat Shiver helmet you will double your output as additional fire damage if you manage to freeze your opponent, which you shall do without any problems. Chilling and freezing enemies is also a powerful defensive bonus, especially useful in Forbidden Sanctums where you will be able to constantly stop in motion every guard. Another big impact on this build playstyle comes from the Astral Projector Ring, as it causes your totems to create a nova directly on top of enemies. It can be played without it, but the built-in knockback makes it quite annoying. The Shockwave Totem initially deals physical damage, but after conversion, it should be pure cold damage. They automatically target your opponents even if they are far away from the totem, which works very well for clearing and staying safe for bosses. On top of a decent health pool, which easily reaches 4 to 5,000, you will have a lot of armor and life regeneration. A combination of Glancing Blows and Tempest Shield will let you almost cap your block chance for both attacks and spells, while also making you immune to shocks. Clear speed is quite good but limited by the small delay stemming from placing the totems. This build excels at single target damage. You will be able to nuke down every boss very easily. You will be able to comfortably clear all content with just a few divines of investments. Maximalizing your damage while still retaining the defenses can be a bit pricey. The Astral Projector Ring is quite necessary to use this skill. Other than that, there are plenty of cheap unique items that provide amazing DPS boosts, such as Heat Shiver or Yoke of Suffering. The Magnate also provides an excellent damage boost but puts a heavy strain on your attribute requirements. You simply can't get a better helmet on a cold-based build than a Heat Shiver. You can get up to 130% of your cold damage as extra fire damage if you can freeze your opponents reliably, which you will do all the time. As it's often the case with builds that prioritize the gem level of the skill in the main setup, Skin of the Lords is one of the best options. You can get one with either of your keystones to save up passive skill point. Rim Sorrows are the easiest way to convert your damage into cold. You can get useful corrupted implicits like cast speed or base critical strike chance for spells for cheap. The Magnate makes your Flasks much easier to sustain, and gives a lot of double and triple damage chances if you have enough strength. Those empowered hits will greatly help you inflict powerful ailments. This amulet provides up to 50% increased damage taken on your enemies by allowing you to shock, and another 5% for each ailment you inflict. Its only downside is the lack of maximum life. Astral Projector is one of the mandatory items for this build, mostly because of its unique property which makes your Nova spells cast at the targeted location. Totem will aim automatically at the enemies, making it especially beneficial. Increased cold damage from Hatred is the best damage boost here, but you can also use the conversion one if you want to use rare gloves. You can also cap your block by getting bonus block chance when affected by Determination. This combination of forbidden jewels allows you to get very powerful Inevitable Judgment notable from Inquisitor Ascendancy, allowing you to ignore elemental resistances with crits. It's quite expensive, but it's also the best upgrade you can get for this build. What you're looking for on your rare gear is primarily the critical strike chance and multiplier for spells, cast speed, increased spell, elemental, or physical damage, and the gem level of Shockwave Totem. As for the defensives, aim mostly for high maximum life, resistances, and some armor with block chance. The best weapon should have 2 modifiers increasing the gem level of your Shockwave Totem and some other offensive mods such as increased spell or elemental damage, cast speed, or critical strike chance and multiplier. You will need a Shaper-influenced base to get an additional summoned totem limit. Other than that, Look for cast speed, critical strike for spells, or more defensive modifiers such as maximum life, elemental resistances, or block chance. You will need a total of 60% physical damage converted to cold to make it worthwhile. The remaining conversion should come from Cold Mastery, Watch Your Eye, or Divergent Quality on Shockwave Gem. With that setup, you can get chance to unnerve and some life and resistances here. Your rare boots should increase your movement speed, maximum life, and resistances. You can also craft 100% freeze avoidance here to free up your major Pantheon power. Try to get Eldritch Implicit that improves your action speed. If you can't reach 400 strength for the Magnate or need more resistances, you can alternatively use a rare belt. There isn't much to look for, so just focus on the basic mods, such as maximum life, resistances, or attributes. On your rare ring, maximum life and elemental resistances are the most important modifiers. You can also get offensive modifiers such as cast speed or elemental damage here. A very good rare amulet can outperform the Yoke of Suffering, given a sufficient budget. There are a lot of other extremely useful affixes worth looking into. Prioritize gem level of Shockwave Totem, cast speed, and critical strike multiplier. You will need at least one rare jewel with an increased mana reservation efficiency of skills. They should also provide some maximum life and resistances or attributes if needed. Other than that, look for critical strike multiplier for spells. Large cluster jewels with physical damage modifiers are the best ones here, as they have significantly higher values than the elemental ones. They can also provide other useful bonuses such as attack and cast speed or increased armor rating. Sleepless Sentries notable found on medium cluster jewel will grant you a nearly permanent onslaught buff. Supplement it with any useful totem notable. For your second cluster jewel, use one with critical strike bonuses. Bottled Faith increases your damage, critical strike chance, and creates a massive consecrated ground. You can enchant it for increased effect since you need it only on bosses. Taste of Hate is a very good flask that improves your physical and cold damage mitigation while also giving you an extra chunk of damage. You can get a bit of attack speed on your flasks to speed up your shield charge for better movement. In your magic flask setup, you should consider using Quicksilver Flask with attack or cast speed, Life Flask with bleeding removal, and a Granite Flask with bonus to your armor rating. Shockwave Totem is your main DPS skill. A totem that casts a Nova spell dealing physical damage in the targeted area. It has low added damage effectiveness but very good cast speed. You can use alternative quality to get the partial conversion to cold damage. Using Empower support in the skin of the Lord's armor grants it bonus 2 levels to improve your main gem even more. For the general map clear, you don't really need extra damage from concentrated effect support, so you can swap it for faster casting. Zealotry is an aura that increases your critical strike chance for spells and grants more damage with spells. Use it with a Divine Blessing support as a temporary buff, and if you don't have enough energy shield to do that, use Inspiration to lower the mana costs of it. Tempest Shield grants you a lot of chance to block spell damage and makes you immune to shocks. Arrogant support causes it to reserve your life instead of mana, but with Petrified Blood, you don't lose any effective life pool that way. Hatred grants a lot of extra cold damage and improves it even more. It also unlocks powerful Watch Your Eye modifiers. Determination is your main defensive aura that grants a lot of flat armor rating alongside a powerful More Armor modifier. Petrified Blood ensures low life status by limiting your natural regeneration up to 50% of maximum life and distributes part of incoming damage from hits as damage over time effect. Herald of Purity improves your physical damage with spells and attacks. You could use a double Enlightened setup to fit in another low reservation aura such as a Herald of Ash, but the gains are pretty minuscule. The baseline version is more than enough for most content anyway. Shield Charge performs a charge that scales very well with your movement speed and attack speed. Using faster attack support makes your shield charge much faster. Don't forget to quality up those gems to get even more speed. Molten Shell forms a fiery barrier that improves your armor rating and absorbs a big amount of damage. Bind it to your left click to use it automatically when it's off cooldown. Flame Dash is a simple movement spell that allows you to skip terrain gaps and other places where the shield charge wouldn't work. Frost Shield creates a frozen bubble that drains part of your energy shield to empower itself. It significantly reduces damage from monsters outside its area, and grants you a bonus critical strike chance. Assassin Mark significantly improves your critical strike chance and multiplier against marked enemy. Both alternative qualities offer very useful modifiers. It's not a bad idea to help a Lyra to get an early boost, but with proper gear you should change it for 2 passive skill points from Aramir. For your major Pantheon power, you should take the Soul of Aracali, since Petrified Blood makes you quite vulnerable to damage over time effects. All upgrades are quite worthwhile the extra effort. To double down on that, you should take Soul of Shikari as your minor Pantheon power. Getting chaos resistances on your gear is generally quite tricky to do, so those Pantheons are really helpful to mitigate that. When leveling with this build, it's very important to get the Ancestral Bond Keystone as fast as possible to increase your maximum totem limit. You can start with the Holy Flame Totem and transition into Shockwave support when you get that gem from the quest. You don't need the Astral Projector Ring during the campaign, as the knockback is quite manageable there, and you don't need to fully clear every area. You should however get it once you reach maps. Getting Pain Attunement Keystone makes Petrified Blood one of the best damage auras despite it providing no damage on itself. During leveling, you can use Herald of Purity with Arrogant setup, and swap it with Tempest Shield later on when you feel like you need more defenses. To use all the recommended auras, you will need both aura clusters, an Eldritch Battery Keystone, and 1 rare jewel. Until then, just use the most important ones such as Determination or Petrified Blood. Getting a lot of strength for the Magnate Belt has also added benefit of Ironwool Keystone, which will significantly improve your spell damage based on the amount of strength you got. Getting your first Labyrinth done is very impactful, as it increases your totem limit and improves your totem placement speed. That sums up everything you need to know about this build. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Stay safe, and see you next time.